limited to 3 minutes. Additionally, the agenda also informs members of the public that they may submit written comments by mail, email, or online through the Commission's website public comment link no later than 7:30 a.m. today. These comments and testimony will be read onto the meeting record at the appropriate time. I will now call to order the Local Agency Formation Commission meeting for November 18th, 2020. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Commissioner Bagley,
I'm here.
Commissioner Cox, Commissioner Curatolo, Commissioner Demeyer,
Here.
Hang on, baby.
Commissioner Dennison,
Dennison here.
Commissioner Farrell,
Here.
Commissioner Lovingood,
Here.
Commissioner McCowan,
Here,
Commissioner Rao,
Here.
Commissioner Warren. Thank you.
we have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Very good. If you will put your microphones on mute and join me as we salute the flag of our nation and the flag that represents the Republic. Is there a flag that we can look at?
Mike.
Very good. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Another announcement. Anyone present at the meeting who is involved with any of the changes of organization to be considered and who has made a contribution of more than $250 in the past 12 months to any member of the commission will be asked to state for the record the commission member to whom the contribution has been made and the matter of consideration with which they are involved. Are there any such declarations? Hearing or seeing none, we will now move to our consent items, which are expected to be routine and non-controversial. Is there any request to pull any of the items for discussion?
No, Mr. Chair, but I'll move the consent agenda.
Very good. Is there a second?
The Supervisor Rao will second.
Very good. Before we take a vote, are there any public comments, Madam Clerk? You're on mute if you're speaking. Angela, are there any public comments?
No, Commissioner, there's no public comments. None
Yeah.
received.
Very good. Is there any public or on Zoom who are wish to speak on this item? Please click the raise hand button, or for those on the phone, please raise your hand by pressing *9. Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Bagley,
Yes.
Commissioner Farrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Lovingood,
Lovingood, yes.
Commissioner McCowan,
Yes.
Commissioner Rao,
Yes.
Commissioner Dennison.
Yes, I'll be abstaining on item 1. I was not at the last meeting. Yes on the rest.
Angela, can you see that I'm on the meeting?
Uh,
You're there. I see you.
I vote aye.
Okay, no, I can't see you, but I'll go ahead and record that. Thank you, Ms. Cox.
I see your name up, Kimberly, so. Okay, now we have before us our public hearing item. Item 6 is consideration of secret exemption for LAFCO 3245 and LAFCO 3245, the countywide service review of public cemetery districts. I will now open the public hearing and have staff make a presentation. Sam?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Back in July, we received the request from Commissioner Lovingood to reorganize our priorities as it relates to our service review program, where we moved up our service review for cemetery services. In particular, we focused our service review on public cemetery districts. So today you will be considering the service review for public cemetery districts. Before I hand this over to Mike for the presentation, I would like to thank the district staffs, both 29 Palm Cemetery District and the Barstow Cemetery District, as well as County Special Districts staff. On behalf of the two CSAs that provide cemetery services, for their cooperation and for their willingness to work with LAFCO staff. And we hope we can continue to work with the districts moving forward and offer whatever assistance we can provide, and vice versa. So, Mike. Mike, you're on mute, Mike.
Mike, you're on mute.
Okay, so I made that big faux pas of the Zoom meeting, yapping without the unmute. So the first round of service reviews went through a community by community basis. So we took, say, the community of Barstow and did all the services within Barstow, City of Barstow, Barstow Fire, etc. Second round of service reviews are focused on a particular district or area when needed. These are the special studies that you see at the top. And then the second cluster are the county-wide service reviews, which is what the meat of the second round is. And as the commission recalls, the county-wide water, wastewater, and fire, they all were about 600 pages, super in-depth, and the presentations for the countywide water went about 2 hours, and wastewater an hour and a half. And then fire, finally, we got this down to a nice hour. So I think today we should be done in about 5 minutes if you take the equivalent amount of time for 80 pages for this report. So this is going to be a breather for you. But going from roughly 100 agencies down to 4, don't let that fool you here, because we can go quite deep on these agencies, and you'll be seeing that today. And when we discuss today, we're just going to mainly be going over the executive summary and not go into the data gathering and the why, just mainly the how and the what. So after this, we'll be going into public cemetery districts, and that'll be starting next month. And we hope to get that done by the end of the fiscal year presentation to you. So shall we begin today? So we have 4 cemetery districts in the county. At the north, we have the Barstow Cemetery District. And also at the high north, we have County Service Area 82, and in Lucerne Valley, County Service Area 29. Now, these are not cemetery districts per se, but their cemetery function defers to public cemetery district law. So that's how they are in this service review. And then in the South Desert, 29 Palm Cemetery District. For this service review, as with the previous service reviews, we've sent out an agency questionnaire, and all agencies have responded. Those questionnaires are in the service review document, as well as a survey that they've responded to. We've conducted in-person interviews with every agency. We provided every agency with a working copy, which was sent just to the general manager in the districts where they could provide technical corrections. Then a first draft was provided to all the agencies for which they could respond with an official comment. The one official comment has come back from Barstow Cemetery District. That is in Appendix A to the service review. And also, they've all received notice of the hearing, and every board member and general manager or district head has received the staff report, which is also has the final draft attached to it. And Going back there, this was at the direction of the commission in January of last year, so that all board members received the copy of the service review. So there are some things that we're writing down here. What did we learn? And cemetery districts are quite unique. There is such an interplay with the county, and it's more of a fail-safe. And it's also at its conception, they are entwined with the county, and they have to unwind certain factors of their operations from county control. And should a cemetery district fail, the county board of supervisors, not the county, but the county board of supervisors is the responsible entity at the end of the day. So there are some interesting things that we found here. So that I went over through 1-1. Public cemeteries are under the jurisdiction and control of the board of supervisors, irrespective of it's an independent district. It's the cemetery that is the thing we need to consider. Board of trustees are actually appointed by the board of supervisors. They are not elected. Board of trustees can be 3 or 5 members, which is interesting. Given the rural nature, you may only get 3 members. Should the county choose to do so, it could appoint itself to be the board of trustees. And 1-5 at the outset, the county treasurer is the district treasurer, unless the district passes a resolution to remove itself. Item 1-6, cemetery districts are prohibited, and the law is quite clear in this. It is a prohibition on selling monuments or markers. They are not allowed to do so. We went back and looked at the bill for the exception of public cemetery districts back in the 20s, and it gives no reasoning. There's some hearsay that this is a business issue, but nonetheless, it's about 80 years old, so we don't know if this applies today. The prohibition is there, but the reasoning not. 1-7, they may lease their unmarked land to another public agency, so a city, a school district, or whatnot. And 1-8, a district may convey its cemetery to any other agency. So the district can be a shell agency, but another entity can operate it. That's not happening in this county. And for the last item, the funds are to remain under the control of the county treasurer unless a resolution is passed to remove it. So what we see is this intertwined mechanism of cemetery districts and the county at the outset and at the end, should it fail. I will now move on to an item that we found, and we found this with the fire districts as well when we did our last service review. And the same is true with this one. The cemetery districts are not telling their story. We come out there and it's more of, you guys are the first ones to come here kind of look. Cemetery districts can do a better job of interacting with their community ahead of time. This would bode not only well for their operations, but also for potential governing members. A lot of people don't know that there's a cemetery district out there until they need it. So we're going to jump right into the items that we are putting forth in the executive summary. And if you're following along now, we are on the service review, not an agenda item, on pages 5 and 6. So we have concluded, I'm just going to touch upon a few of these. I'm going to start going quite quickly here. The Barstow Cemetery District has historically lacked the proper foundation of governance. This goes back to our first service review in 2008. So LAFCO did a service review in 2008 and found systemic issues, managerial and governance. The commission forwarded that service review to the grand jury. The grand jury found numerous issues, requested that they receive the proper training, and actually requested that LAFCO staff and the county auditor staff meet with the Barstow Cemetery District management to go over governance matters with them. And as a little side note, the Barstow Cemetery District's funds and its payroll are processed through the county auditor, similar to LAFCO. So when we were out there in 2008, we met with them again in 2009 and 2010, and it seems as if these issues have come back. Management is different, 2 or 3 removed, as well as the governing body. So what we're saying here on 3-1 sub A, historically lacked, and there's a lack of continuity. With B, frequent changes in personnel. So it's they're starting the management scheme all over again from scratch with each iteration. With C, they've operated without legal counsel up until our service review. And this is the current administration of the district. However, they are now contracting with legal counsel. Their records, historically, the plot records we're talking about, not the interment and payment and the copies that go to the health department, but the actual site records are at the time not digitized, although there's an effort to get them digitized, but that project is slow going. And the fear is that the historical record is all at that one building. So should something happen to that building, our records, the records are perished. However, given all of this, the infrastructure actually is adequate for that area, except they also have water issues, and they are providing water through a well, their own water. Excuse me, they are not providing well water. Excuse me, I spoke wrong here. They are using potable water. So that comes at a high cost. So that is something that is of a money drain. It is their largest expense. And especially in the summertime in the desert, it is high. I cannot say enough on that one. There is movement though, excuse me. I want to go back here on something. The bottom of the slide, the district now is working with the Mojave Water Agency and will be implementing, hoping to implement a plan for significant water reductions with ground beautification. So when we go to the South Desert with 29 Palms, it's rocks. So the irrigation is minimal. When you're at Barstow, it's grass. And that's just a decision that they've historically made. We're not making a yes or no, right or wrong with that decision, but it does come with a high water cost. And they're paying for that high water cost. And F here, as of October 1, the most recent available audit for the district was from 2017. That's outdated. They need to get it going. They are getting it going. But when we go to I'm going to skip ahead here. Their current auditor has made so many ledger and journal entries, it's now a bookkeeper. So it had to remove itself from being an auditor. So now we see back to what I first started with about these systemic issues. The general fund is operating now at a running deficit, which is of a concern to LAFCO, and we can go into detail on that. And what everyone needs to know is the endowment fund appears to be healthy. There's annual increases in the fund balances, but there's relatively minor transfers out. So what that means is that with an endowment fund for an entity, you can use the gains, but not the principal itself. So we're glad to report that as it appears through the audits, the endowment fund's healthy. And the district can be using some of these gains, but it does not appear that they're fully utilizing the gains for their maintenance. So we come back to the issue in the beginning of a lack of continuity. And so they've had to redo the policy manual every time a new person comes in there. They're redoing the finance mechanisms every time a new person comes in there. So that is a huge concern to us. And that, you know, and that's also inherent in a small agency. When you have a few people and a few people go, then you bring back 2 people and you start all over again. So what does this all mean? Well, we are recommending that the Barstow Cemetery District focus on implementation of governance and financial policies and practices. That's pretty much a given, but what can we do about it as LAFCO? The one tool we do have is that continued monitoring, and we do have the ability to send this off to the grand jury should they choose, or should you choose. And but we feel that the best route at the beginning would be to come back in 6 months. And to be fair to the district, they have made strides with this new general manager. Maybe not as far as LAFCO staff would like to see it, but with the general manager inherited an empty slate, and empty being not good, with lack of continuity, and had to figure everything out on how to run a district for herself. If there's any resources, like with the Mojave Water Agency assisting, that would be of great benefit to the district. So I'm going to talk directly to the chair. I don't anticipate going more than 10 more minutes here. So if the commission chooses, we can save all the questions towards the end, or should it be the pleasure of the commission, we could jump in after each district.
Why don't we proceed ahead and take questions at the end?
Yes, sir. Moving forward, in and out, County Service Area 29, Lucerne Valley. Lucerne Valley also does park and recreation, and this service here, cemetery, as well as street lights. We have made no conclusions or recommendations for CSA 29. CS 82, that's all the way up in Searles Valley. If anyone doesn't know Searles Valley, it's at the top of the county. And to show you how far north it is, if you took the northern boundary of San Bernardino County and drove all the way to the west at the ocean, you're at the southern boundary of Monterey County. So that's how far north this place is. CS 82 does cemetery, street lights, park and recreation, and wastewater collection and its treatment. Its cemetery district is unique in that CS 82 does not actually provide the service. It contracts that out to a local nonprofit, the Searles Valley Cemetery Association. And this agency, this nonprofit manages the cemetery. So they do all the work, all the physical labor and all the bookkeeping. And the county's role is that they own the land and then they contract that out. And there is a contract for this. In the contract, the county also indemnifies the cemetery association for its services. But one thing that we found is there's always a risk in doing these. The first risk is that, and this is nice, there's no complaint about this, Searles Valley Minerals, it's the largest employer in the area. They provide the water and electricity service to the area, pay for it, excuse me. But should there be a discontinuance, who's going to end up paying this at the end of the day? It's CS 82. The county's aware of this, but nonetheless, it's just a risk that we're identifying. However, should the Searles Valley Cemetery Association cease the capability to continue its operations? Now, remember, there was just a very large earthquake that happened up there with a number of moderate aftershocks. So should something happen and Cemetery Association decides to fold, at the end of the day, CSA 82 will be the one to pick up and start to provide this service in full. However, CSA 82 also receives a share of the property tax, and it does not provide any share of the property tax for this cemetery function. So that would be an additional burden upon that entity and basically the county. In our review, we discussed with public cemetery district, the CS82 staff, which is basically county special districts, and they have not conducted an inspection of the area in some time. So we reinforced that notion that they are the responsible entity. They hold the risk. They have recently conducted an on-site facility inspection, and it is now within their quarterly facility inspection program. So this is no longer a concern for LAFCO. Going back. So we have no recommendations for CS 82. We now move into our last one, 29 Palm Cemetery District. Similar to Barstow, the new general manager basically inherited the same type of situation, but they've had a little bit more of continuity, and they were able to get a few things running quicker than in comparison with the former district. So they do have that structural deficiency due to neglect and maintenance backlog. But however, since the spring of this year, the district is going full force as best as they can to bring the upkeep of the grounds up to par, correcting structural deficiencies and health and safety improvements. There was some seepage coming down from the walls and other things, and they're doing the best that they can right now to rectify these situations. They've also worked with their auditor to determine what amount of the endowment gains can be used, and they are extracting those gains and being placed properly for cemetery functions. So what do we recommend for them? Continued monitoring as well, coming back in 6 months. Now, I do tell the commission this, same with Barstow and 29 Palms. Staff is putting forth 6 months, but the commission can choose any number of months. So we can come back in 3 months or 6 months is adequate, should you choose to do so. That being said, I'm going to go through the final here, which is the our recommendation slide, and then bring it to the commission. What we're asking the commission to do today is to certify the service use exempt from environmental review. Side note, we've left the service review and we're back now on the agenda item, pages 1 and 2. Accept the countywide service review and its written determinations. Number 3, come back in 6 months, May 19, 2021 for Barstow Cemetery and 29 Palm Cemetery. And finally, for the commission to adopt the resolution. That is the end of my presentation. In brief, we are more than welcome to go into detail on any topic, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions of staff?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Go ahead,
Jim
Jim.
Bagley. Oh, you have some recommendations overall in the final draft. One of them is the consolidation of some of these districts. So I just have some general questions, and Michael or Sam, I hope you can kind of pull up the old, the larger service review. There are cemeteries throughout, especially the desert area, that aren't in these districts. I can think of them: Amboy, Baghdad, Ludlow, Daggett Pioneer Cemetery. Some of these are, I think, in the railroad right-of-ways, but they're historic properties in San Bernardino County, and they're not in any district. So if there was a discussion about a consolidation of cemetery services, I'd like to see that discussion somehow get incorporated in there, just so we have some accounting of some of these facilities. Some of those cemeteries go back to the turn of the 18th century, and I don't know that anybody actually knows who they are there, but they are cemeteries, and they're in the county of San Bernardino. Consolidating all the districts is problematic. So let me just throw this out. In the case of 29 Palms, you have an incorporated city, and also with Barstow. And it would seem to me like they would be logical entities to take over the administration of these cemetery districts. I see in the staff report there's a problem with the law with a 5-acre limitation, and 29 Palms is 30 acres. But that's something that could probably be addressed and thought about. So let me just say, I'm going to just lay this out. I'll use the case of 29 Palms. When we incorporated the city of 29 Palms, we didn't take on Park and Rec. We didn't take on water, but we're in the year 2020 now, and there's also a cemetery district out there. And you've got one city yard that has backhoes and all the equipment that would be necessary to operate the cemetery district on a periodic basis when it's needed. So I just throw that out there, that's something that we might want to think about if there was a transfer of power and how we do this. One of the glaring omissions, and this is a pointed criticism, Mike and Sam.
Yes, sir.
In 29 Palms, we've had 2 consistent major problems with general managers, including criminal indictments. That is missing in the current dissertation on the district right now. And I think it's very important that that be in our text as a reminder. And I say that because you have new trustees coming in. They're typically really nice local folks who volunteer. As we've talked about, nobody really knows these cemetery districts exist. But if they don't have any of that corporate knowledge and have no idea of the problems in the past, it really puts them in a disadvantage and sets them up where we could have these sort of malfeasance and office things occur again. So I just think it's really important to just say, we really need to pay attention to this. And that's the bulk of my comments.
Very good. I want to recognize that Commissioner Warren has joined us during the meeting. Are there any other comments from commissioners?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Lovingood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Mike, if we can go back, when you did the presentation, you said, that there was a prohibition from them selling markers or grave sites as an entity. I'm looking at their ongoing challenges, and it seems to me, one, not being able to secure qualified staff, then Jim's comments about some of our concerns about the action of some of the directors that have been, can that item be changed? And would that possibly open an opportunity to bring in a professional? When I say that, I mean, there are companies in this industry and have them, and I'm sure it would be up to the commission, but is that something that we can change as a board?
As a board of supervisors, yes. And so my interpretation is, I want to go with your 2 points. The first one, which is about the markers. Yes, there is prohibition, and that seems to be a legislative change. It doesn't seem as if the commission or the board of supervisors has any say in that one. Someone would have to sponsor it. For the second part, at the end of the day, it's the county board of supervisors is the responsible entity for all public cemeteries. So this kind of goes back to what Mr. Bagley was saying, is that there are a lot of public cemeteries in this county, but we're talking about public cemetery districts. And so either way, all public cemeteries, be it on their own or as part of a cemetery district, fall under the jurisdiction of the board of supervisors of the county for which they are situated. So that would be the board of supervisors of this county. And this board of supervisors appoints the board of trustees. Remember, not board of directors, but board of trustees. So should those terms expire, or should there be an action by the commission, the county to do so, the law does outline this process to remove the independent nature of a cemetery district and provide that function over to itself. I think it's advertisement in the paper, public testimony process. I think the whole thing takes about 6 to 9 months. But nonetheless, in the end, the board of supervisors can run that cemetery, and should it choose to do so, or should the independent agency, which is the board of trustees now, choose to contract those services out, just like CS 82 does, it can choose to do so. I did point that out in the executive summary back here, and I'll point it specifically that this is a part of the law, in that it may, excuse me here one moment. 1-7, the cemetery district may lease unmarked land to a public gate. Oh, excuse me, that was not the wrong one. 1-8, a district may convey a cemetery owned by the district to any cemetery authority. That could be a benevolent association, fraternal organization, the county itself through special districts, or possibly through, I'd have to look at the law on this one, what a cemetery authority definition is. So the possibility of a private entity, should they be certified to do so. But that would have to be verified though. So there is opportunities for different organizational governance with a public cemetery.
All right, thank you. And we've had, we've met multiple times. We've had conversations with the city of Barstow, and there wasn't the desire from that standpoint. There's an importance in its community, but there was not at the time the desire to step in and take on the obligations currently. But we've had a number. But thank you for that insight.
Other comments, questions of staff?
Larry, it's Dawn here. I just wanted to thank Mike, I learned an awful lot about cemeteries and districts, and both Barstow and 29 Palms are in my supervisorial district. And I appreciate the depth, the research. Jim beat me to the punch on the comment about the embezzlement, and that does need to be a part of our reviews, at least the mention of them. There are a lot of volunteers that really mean well and that keep those things going. And when something like that happens, it really kind of destroys the entire district. So I think it is an important piece of the puzzle that LAFCO needs to continue to be aware of and educate the other directors or trustees. And I would love to explore the idea of having the cities potentially take them. So especially 29 Palms. I think that was a great suggestion.
Hi there, Mr. Larry. It's Aquanetta.
No, Aki, go ahead.
It's funny, when I came on, I've been on since the beginning, but I was in the webinar part, and I kept saying, is this the right format? finally figured it out. But I got to tell you, I had no idea the extent of these districts. And I thought this was a great presentation. And, you know, I know that the county, we hope one day that we actually come back together for the city county conference. I'd love to see some form of this information hit those wavelengths so that the cities can begin to understand the need to embrace these districts.
Good
Just
suggestion.
a suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. I agree with Jim. We need to at least highlight in our report the past embezzlement and activities that went on. I know Jim and I were here when we reviewed cemetery districts before and sent it to the grand jury because we had serious concerns about what was happening. Any other comments or questions of staff?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Sam.
we were notified that our links to the meeting are not working. We were able to give some of the links to some of the people, but unfortunately, we are not able to provide that to everyone that is on we don't know if everyone is trying to provide any comments to our meeting. And unfortunately, we have issues with the link to the webinar. I'm thinking, can Paula, as our legal counsel, can we continue with our meeting, but then continue our discussion?
Unfortunately, the manner in which the commission's agenda, in which members of the public can provide comments included written comments, email comments, and also contemporaneous comments provided during the meeting. And so we don't know if there are any members of the public out there that wished to provide comment on any of the agenda items, including the public hearing, the hearing items. So unfortunately, I think we're going to need to do a complete do-over of this meeting and provide all the requisite notice as if, this meeting never occurred. So we're going to have to do a do-over, unfortunately.
Oh,
I know, it's very frustrating.
So Paula, are you saying we need to just cease the rest of the meeting at this point?
Correct. There are members that the Brown Act is there to make sure that members of the public have the ability to provide comment, to view the discussions and deliberations of the commission. And what I understand, Sam, is that the webinar link, the Zoom link was not working. And so members of the public don't have that ability. Or maybe if it was the YouTube link, somebody's watching it and, isn't able to watch it. It's just, we don't know. We have to protect the public that, and we don't know what public is out there that wanted to provide comments on any of the agenda items.
Yeah, a couple of things. While the YouTube link is working, and then the ability to provide comments on the email as well as the web link is there for them to provide, which we did not get. So the only thing that would not be able to provide comments are the ones that are signing in and probably raising their hands to provide comments.
Yes.
We do have a few people.
That is the problem.
We do have a few people that are probably there who wants to provide comments at this time and may not be able to provide comments at a later date. Should we go ahead and continue to have them the ability to provide comments at this time?
I would recommend no. I would recommend that we let them provide comments in writing that would be read on the record via the other means for providing public comments. It's an unfortunate circumstance of this strange virtual world we're in, but under the governor's executive order, we need to stay firm with the public comment requirements that we've put out there and have noticed to the public. And so any discrepancy in that could subject the commission to challenge. We have been seeing more and more challenges to the manner in which agencies are conducting public meetings. The ACLU is sending a series of letters to school districts, for example, for discrepancies in their view of how meetings are being conducted. So this is one, it could be construed as chasing shadows, but that's the world that attorneys live in. And in an abundance of caution, I recommend that we do a do-over.
do we understand what the problem is?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the only problem is that the webinar ID number is incorrect. And that's the only issue. So if somebody wanted to log in to the Zoom meeting using the webinar ID that was on the agenda would not be able to log in. So like we have a few people who.
So the error is ours?
Yes, sir.
So,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Paula. Does this necessity to continue the meeting, does that include the balance of the calendar or the agenda? Should we just discontinue this meeting today and reschedule it for 30 days?
Yes. Yes.
Under the circumstances, I think that's the most prudent thing to do at this point instead of continue to go through the staff discussions.
So the question I would have is, do we want to continue or delay this to December or to January?
Sam, what's the schedule coming up? We have no meeting in December. I'd be happy to meet in December. How busy is the January schedule? Yeah, the January schedule is busy, so we would want to take this in December if possible.
Yeah, Sam, sorry to butt in. This is Michael. To keep in mind that the item after this one was the request for exemption for Big Bear for water. So to put that into your head.
Paula,
there's no exception. It is what it is, unfortunately, unless we, schedule a special. That isn't a public. We can see if maybe we could facilitate a special meeting for that item. I don't believe that's a public hearing item. Maybe we could have a special meeting, which we could agendize quickly. But that is, we can't slice and dice how we apply the Brown Act, unfortunately.
So, Mr. Chairman, under the circumstances, I would make a motion that we suspend the current meeting and move the calendar, the agenda that we had today to a December meeting to facilitate full public participation.
I would second that.
Very good. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Bagley,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Aye.
Commissioner Farrell,
I just wanted to ask, actually, I'm sorry, we went to the vote very quickly. I'll just comment that, are we scheduling it a regular day or a different day?
I would assume
Because we didn't
schedule
have,
it on a regular day since we all have that on our calendars.
well, I think it was dark on our calendars.
I know, but if we try a different date, all of us have other commitments on other dates.
And fine. My yes vote stands, of course, but thank you.
Commissioner Lovingood,
Yes.
Commissioner McCowan,
Yes.
Commissioner Rao,
Yes, but I have a quick comment. So depending upon the date, we will lose at least one commissioner. I believe that this is Robert's last meeting. Is that correct?
It is. Will he be here in December or not?
Not after the 6th, I don't believe.
Well, you have an alternate, but I do want to know, is this going to be your last meeting, Mr. Lovingood?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, it will be. Unless we have something scheduled before noon on the 7th.
I don't think that's probably possible. I do want
Mr. Chairman, I'm flexible with the scheduling. We're coming into the holidays. I know we have regularly scheduled meeting dates, but I'm just telling you, I'm flexible.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the first week of the month is always a busy one. I know for me, I've got all kinds of meetings scheduled for the first week.
And I'd like to note, I'm not sure if we're still mid-vote, but I just want to note that the actual meeting be considered a special meeting since it wasn't on your list of regularly scheduled meetings. So it might be a special meeting, but it would be occurring on regular third Wednesday of the month. Third Wednesday of the month?
Yeah, the December 16th.
16th meeting.
I just didn't want you all to be surprised if you see the word special on that. We'll make that determination.
Madam Clerk, are we finished with the roll call?
No, I have Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
That completes the voting. Thank you.
Thank you. And Robert?
Yes.
I want to thank you for your service, not only for this commission, but also for the county. You've done an outstanding job, and you will be missed. I know you're going to be replaced with an old friend of mine who I'm looking forward to serving with again. But what are your plans?
Well, as my wife, Melanie, has informed me, I'm going back to work. She kind of set my schedule and readjusted hers. Hers is going to go back to her 9 to 3, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then I will go back into business development and growing our business. And then having a self-imposed calendar to the most part from an imposed calendar, which I look forward to. But I'm going to miss each of you. It's been an opportunity to serve. And I got to tell you, it's some of the greatest things and really a give back to have had worked with a number of you. Kimberly, I'll miss you in your community and all that it does for the high desert. Don, I'm going to miss, but each of you. But really, it's been an honor. Jim, just again, I can kind of Curtello, I could name each of you, and Sam and you and your group. It's truly been an honor. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me a couple comments.
Other comments from commissioners before we adjourn?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for council. Paula, can I do my EO report since it's only providing commissioners with an update?
We have it in writing.
You can provide it in writing, sit on the agenda, but no, I think we need to cease discussion about it within the jurisdiction of the commission, unfortunately.
Other comments from commissioners before we adjourn?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Now, Paula, thank you for your guidance too, and appreciate always the attorney's advice.
I appreciate that. We get that, those kind words. I appreciate that.
Any other comments?
Well, I do want to, Mr. Chair, if I could, I just want to thank Mr. Lovingood. He came into our LAFCO in early 2013, right after he became a board member for supervisors. And he also became our chair right after Mr. Ramos left when he was elected to the assembly. He also served in our admin committee the last year and this year. And just want to thank you for your service, your dedication. Thank you for your leadership, not only with LAFCO, but for the entire county. Thank you, Mr. Lovingood. Hopefully you can we can bring you back one more time sometime early next year when we can get back to an in-person meeting to receive the Commission's resolution of appreciation for your service. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, and I'll plan on that.
Other comments?
We love you, Robert.
Thank you for all your service, Robert.
Yes, thank you so much. You will miss having Aki around.
No
Larry,
problem. I got to talk to you about the future anyway, so I'll be coming up there to see you.
Oh, yeah, plenty of room in the office. Let me know when you're going to be there.
Yeah, because especially if you're going back to work, I've got an idea.
Very
All
good.
right.
If there are no other comments, we will stand adjourned until our special meeting in December. Thank you so much. It's unfortunate that we can't continue, but that's the way it is.
Merry Christmas and have a great Thanksgiving.
And Merry Christmas to you, Robert. Take care.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
You all